Money has always influenced behavior. Rewards encourage spending. Scarcity enforces discipline. Interest rates shape time. But influence is not the same as enforcement. Until now, money responded to rules, it did not execute them. That boundary is disappearing. Programmable money changes what currency is allowed to do. It embeds conditions directly into value itself, not policies applied after the fact, not regulations interpreted by institutions. Rules that execute automatically without discussion, delay, or discretion. Money that decides. The idea sounds efficient, elegant, safer. Payments that prevent fraud. Does. Funds that can only be used for their intended purpose. Stimulus that reaches the right people at the right time for the right reasons. In theory, nothing is taken away, only misuse is eliminated. But enforcement has a direction. When money becomes software, spending becomes behavior to be managed. Each transaction carries logic. Each balance carries constraints. What you can buy, when you can buy it, where you can buy it, all become variables in code. This is not speculation. It already exists. Food benefits restricted to approved categories. Corporate funds locked to specific vendors. Welfare payments that expire if unused. Digital coupons that refuse unauthorized items at checkout. The system does not explain. It simply rejects. These systems are always introduced at the margins. For the vulnerable, for emergencies, for efficiency. They are framed as protection, not control, but margins expand. Once money can say no, it can say no for any reason. And once the infrastructure exists, applying it becomes trivial. The power of programmable control is not that it restricts everyone, it is that it restricts selectively. Rules can change based on identity, location, time, behavior, compliance history. A transaction approved yesterday can be denied today. Not because the law changed, but because the parameters did, and because it happened silently. Resistance is difficult. There is no decision to appeal, no authority to confront. The code executed correctly. The outcome is final. Central bank digital currencies accelerate this reality. They promise direct policy transmission, interest rates that apply instantly, stimulus that activates automatically, controls that respond in real time. In a crisis, this sounds comforting. Targeted relief, instant stabilization, no delays. No loopholes, but crises end, systems remain. Programmable money does not need surveillance to control behavior. It shapes behavior by limiting outcomes. You don't need to watch people when their options are already constrained. The most powerful systems don't punish, they preempt. Over time, people adapt. Spending habits change, expectations adjust. What once felt restrictive becomes normal. What once felt optional becomes default. This is how control becomes invisible. The danger is not a single rule, it is the layering of them. A spending limit here, a geographic restriction there, a category exclusion added quietly, each justified, each small. Until money no longer represents value, it represents permission encoded in logic. In such a system, dissent does not require censorship. It requires recalibration. Participation can be adjusted. Access slowed. Choices narrowed. No confrontation needed. The system doesn't need to know what you believe. It only needs to know what you do. Programmable control also changes who holds power. Decisions shift from public debate to technical implementation, from legislation to configuration, from accountability to maintenance. Once rules are code, changing them requires expertise, not consensus. And expertise rarely answers to the public. Supporters argue this creates fairness, consistency, transparency. Everyone follows the same rules. But identical rules applied to unequal lives do not create equality. They create rigidity. Rigid systems break quietly. The promise is that programmable money will make finance safer, cleaner, more responsible. The risk is that it removes the final ambiguity that once protected freedom. When money becomes executable logic, discretion disappears, and discretion is where humanity lives. This is Kiyo Documentary, and this is Programmable Control, where money no longer asks what you want to do. It decides what you are allowed to do.